Okay, let's go ahead and get started, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Marilyn Lau, and I am with the USC Viterbi School of Engineering Admission and Student Engagement team. So it is my pleasure today to welcome you to our Spotlight series, where we will be highlighting our chemical engineering and material science graduate programs. So we are joined by Professor Andrea Hodge, who will be sharing information. Welcome, Professor Hodge. And she will be sharing with us information on the graduate programs and can also answer any questions that you might have about the curriculum for the different programs that we have within the chemical engineering and material science department. So some quick facts before we get started. I do want to mention that we will be sending out a copy of today's presentation slides. So, if you don't need the information right away, there is no need for you to jot it down. It does take us around 1 to 2 business days to get that email out to you all. And for those of you who are watching this webinar at a later time, please do note that the content that we are going through today is of October 22nd, 2024. So we always recommend for you to visit our website for the most updated information, and especially when it comes to the academic curriculum. In terms of asking questions, we do highly encourage you to ask any questions that you might have during the session, and we will be leaving some time at the end for a Q&A. Today's program, I will be talking about University of Southern California for those of you who are not familiar with our academic institution. And then I'll talk a little bit more about specifically the Viterbi School of Engineering. And then Professor Hodge will be, taking us through the different chemical engineering and materials science graduate programs that we offer within the department, as well as the application criteria. From then, I will talk about our different delivery methods, more so focus on our online delivery method than at Viterbi. And then I'll talk about the different tuition and funding that is available. And then we'll go ahead and wrap it up with the Q&A session. This slide here is just images of our campus. So we are located around 15 to 20 minutes from downtown Los Angeles. And we do have a very beautiful campus, as you can see from the images on this slide. But a little bit about the University of Southern California. So we are the oldest private university in the Western United States, founded back in 1880. We do have over 47,000 students, over 4,700 full-time faculty. Our student population is extremely diverse. So, our students come from all different walks of life, different industry backgrounds, different geography backgrounds. And lastly, we are located in Los Angeles. Specifically, Viterbi School at a glance. We are made up of 8 academic departments, and then we have over 6,800 graduate students as of the fall 2023 student population data. Our graduate students, this number here indicates the mix of our on-campus and online master students, as well as our graduate certificate students and also PhD students. We have over 213 tenure track faculty, 16 full-time, and over 100 National Science Foundation career National Presidential Young Investigator. Alongside faculty, of course, comes research. So, one thing that Viterbi School is extremely proud about is that we are a leader in funded research. So, our faculty members, they conduct a lot of research with over 35 research centers, located around the Los Angeles and Southern California area. And more than $177 million are invested in research expenditures on an annual base. So a little bit about Professor Andrea Hodge. So she is the chair and professor of the Mork Family Department of Chemical Engineering and Material Science. She also has her doctoral degree in materials engineering from Northwestern University. And as you can see from this list indicated here, she has received multiple distinguished awards. Most recent in 2024, the Minerals, Metals, and Materials Society Ellen Swallow Richards Diversity Award. And then also in 2024, she was a recipient of the Materials Research Society Fellow. And backdating to 2023, last year, she also received the fellow for being the American Association for the Advancement of Science, AAAS fellow. And then in 2020, the Minerals, Metals, and Materials Society, Julia and Johannes Weirman Educator Award. And then in 2018, she received from the University of Southern California the Hannah Reisler Mentoring Award. And then in 2016, she received the Early Career Achievement Award from Northwestern University. So a very warm welcome, and thank you so much, Professor Hodge, for taking the time. And I will go ahead and hand it over to you to take us through the different graduate programs that we offer within the chemical engineering and material science.
All right. So first of all, welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and let you know a little bit more about our programs. I also highly encourage you to go to our website to the advising section, and there we just renew the whole website, the whole section on advising, and you can go to master's program, and it has everything in a lot of details that are easy to follow. So we just updated that about 2 weeks ago. So in the Morg Family Department website, and then you go to advising, and then you go to masters, and then you will see it in there. So we have several programs that we offer. We offer one master's program in chemical engineering, and we offer right now 3 in material science. We have materials engineering, machine learning, and then material science. We expect that in the fall 2025, it will just be one master's in materials science and engineering. So that is currently being changed. So if you want to apply, you could apply to either materials engineering or materials science. That will be updated by the fall. You don't have to do anything. We will do that for you once you come in the fall 2025. And then the materials in materials engineering, the master's in materials engineering, machine learning will remain the same. And you can, again, look at all those classes in the curriculum on our website. And then our new and master's program is the master's in energy engineering, which I'm very excited to launch, which really enhances chemical engineering, material science, and petroleum knowledge in order to provide our students with the best overall practice of this whole field of emerging energy needs across the world and out of this world, also for space. And so I will talk a little bit more about it. And so out of these degrees, so some of them are on DEN. That right now the master's in energy engineering is not available on DEN, but we are working towards that to be able to offer it to you on a DEN basis. But the rest of them will be available via DEN. And expect some changes in 2026 for the master's in energy engineering to be on DEN.
Thank you.
So a little bit about our master's in chemical engineering. So again, this is made for students mostly coming from chemical engineering background, which already have taken a lot of these preliminary classes to qualify to be in this. The program requirements for all our master's programs are 28 units. And you work with a student advisor to work on this, or a faculty advisor if you're doing some more research. The total required units required courses are 16 units, which are listed here and include Chemi 501, Chemi 530, 538, and 542. And then you have 12 units of elective courses. And again, if you want to see the extensive list, you can go to our website and look under advising master's programs. So the idea is that you can take a wide range of classes to enhance your master's degree in chemical engineering. And then the classes listed here, 501 to 542, is to make sure that you have the high level fundamentals to be able to call yourself a master student in chemical engineering. But there's a lot of flexibility in elective courses, ranging from our very popular confectionery manufacturing class to more into subsurface engineering, or some more simulation classes, machine learning, modeling classes. So it has a lot of flexibility. As you have 12 units, you can kind of go, gear it towards whatever industry you're interested in, or whether you are looking into getting into a master's PhD program. So, or master's in materials engineering, like I said, which will be materials science and engineering, requires, again, 28 units. It is available on that. And then there's some core courses, which are fundamental, For the material science masters, you can come from a lot of different backgrounds. So it could be, you can have chemical engineering, you can be from mechanical engineering, you can be from electrical engineering, physics, chemistry, or material science. So that's what's so beautiful about material science and engineering. That's why I picked it. I was a mechanical engineer in undergrad, and it really is, so the fundamentals need to be provided because then the students come from a very diverse background. But again, this has, the expectation is an engineering background that is related, not necessarily as much as chemical engineering, in which you do kind of need more of that chemical engineering background. And so the elective courses is an extensive list. And again, you can find it in our website. And it covers things from electron microscopy to polymers classes to more of metallurgical classes, fracture and fatigue, classes in kind of more in optics or synthesis, thin film synthesis. So there's a wide range, again, depending on how you want to do these. And then you also have the opportunity to maybe just use some of those units to work with faculty and do some research. So it kind of depends up to you how you want to do this. The main requirement are those 3 core courses. And then there's a lot of flexibility because there's like 40 classes on that list. And we can guide you depending on what your interest is, or if you're coming from industry, what your industry needs are so that you're well prepared for those. And this degree, again, the same as the math, because it's going to be material science and engineering, it is available on DEN.
Thank you, Professor Hodge.
Okay, so the machine learning one, which is one of our newest programs. So here you see that the required units are fundamentals in machine learning. And so we have MASC 515, 520, and 575, and those are required, and those are available online for the DEN students. And then your elective courses, they're similar to just the general material science or materials engineering. There's a big list. If you are a DEN student, then there's the list may be smaller, but if you are a general student that attends in person, then that's about 40 classes that you can pick from and kind of target it whichever way you want. But you really here get the fundamentals of using these tools. If you are doing material science or even chemical engineering, is geared towards that. And then there's additional classes in both in the machine learning, if you want to really go deeper into it, or in atomistic simulations. There's a couple of more follow-up classes. So for you to really get a really good fundamental core on this, which you can complement by more maybe theoretical or more experimental classes in general material science. So I think I already went over this because it's going to be the same. These are just, there's basically some of these classes are required and then they become electives in part of the other one. It just tells you a little bit more about what we offer. Again, you can talk crystallography, mechanical behavior materials, which is one of our most popular classes, especially for the MECI, people with the MECI background, quantum physics, solid state physics, but again, with the engineering flavors, thermodynamics. So it follows the same as the materials engineering. It's just what is a core and what is an elective. But the classes don't change, the instructors don't change. And then by combining them together, that means the one, because it's going to become one, is going to be available on then, and it enhances the flexibility for all of our students.
That's very exciting, Professor Hodge.
Yes. It should be in the fall 2025. So, but again, don't worry about it when you go and apply and you're like, well, I can only see one or the other. Just pick one, because by the time you come, then it will be just one. So you can pick material science or you can pick materials engineering, and it will be combined. So don't worry about it. That's nothing to do with you. That's more like internal track keeping. And then you will be fine. Nothing will change. The classes won't change. It just adds more flexibility to be able to do it. And actually material science and engineering is more representative of the curriculum. Then here's our new exciting master's in energy engineering. I'm very excited about these new masters. This has been a long process that all the faculty worked in, and it was just really looking where the industry is going. What is the new engineering major that is coming up? A long time ago, it was like aerospace was the new one. Then it was computer science, and now it's energy engineering. Worldwide, there's a huge need to meet all the energy needs of the world due to either limited resources or pollution, or whichever way the needs are broad and distinct all across the world. So what works in the US doesn't necessarily work in sub-Saharan countries, doesn't necessarily work in South America. So this encompasses basically, you need an engineering degree, again, background in chemical engineering, material science, mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, probably chemistry and physics. You could be completely fine to go into these masters. That's what we provide, some core classes. And so the idea really is that you can go to any of these energy sectors, whether you are working more as a material scientist or more as a chemical engineer or more as a petroleum engineer, but have this broader view of all the energy needs, whether it's solar or whether it's changing things to more sustainable, carbon sequestration, hydrogen fuel cells. Again, really a broader view, because since we are this joint department, we can really offer the whole coverage of this and be pivoted to what you need. So the required courses here, so everyone has to take this as an energy and process efficiency class, which is under chemistry. But again, anybody with those backgrounds that I mentioned should be fine to take this class. It's not a chemical engineering only class. It's just under that suffix. But with any of those engineering backgrounds, you should be fine. Then we have applied subsurface characterization and engineering from our petroleum program. And that class mostly is focused on how do we store things in the earth, how we get things out of the earth, which goes whether you're going to store hydrogen or to use old wells or recycle old wells, or whatever kind of a standard, anything that is on the earth, which is basically a lot of had to do with this energy storage and energy and just anything to do with current energy needs that the world has. And then we have MASC 516, which is material science for energy transition. So these will be focused on what are the major issues of materials that are preventing this energy transition. So whether is it the issue of what do we find, how we do solar cells, better solar cells, more efficient solar cells, where we're thinking about wind energy and what happens with corrosion when you're in the ocean, or maybe you're just talking about the new material that you need for batteries. So it's focused on the material science part of that. And these are required for everybody. And then after that, there's some flexibility. So you pick one from each category. So choose one from the following subset. So you do an extra one, whether you want photovoltaics, material selection, carbon and energy storage, or and then you pick one from our machine learning computational setup, because we do know this is the language what everybody's using, and our students should be prepared to take this. And then you go to more into the sustainable materials, if that's what you're interested in, and you have to take one class from there. And then there's a couple more electives that you can pick from. But the idea is that you pick and choose, and really goes to whatever industry you're targeting, or whether you want to work on this more as a chemical or as a material scientist or as a petroleum engineer. You can gear and kind of really fix this degree to what is needed for what your goals are. But I think it's very important for the energy needs of the world. And it will be different depending on where you come from, what industry you come from, or what industry you want to go into.
And that's exciting. It's like a lot of diverse classes that you could take depending, in terms of the academic curriculum. And just to let everyone know that, this program is available to submit an application. Is it, Professor, starting even spring 2025, correct?
We already have people in the program. It started this fall. We have currently 3 students in this master's program. It just started this fall, so we weren't able to advertise before. But we already have 3 students in the program. Perfect. But officially launches fall 2025. It's already approved. You can already apply for this. And also for this specific program, we have a generous donor to provide some partial scholarships to the students in this program in the amount of about $10,000. And this is done by the department once the students are selected by base to help them out with this tuition and things like that, specifically for students in the energy engineer program.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that, Professor Hodge. Yeah, so you guys could submit your application for spring 2025 as well, and for 2025 semesters. So very, very exciting new program that we have. And Professor Hodge, for those, who are interested, who may wonder, kind of what kind of job opportunities can come out of this. Can you share with us a little bit more about what our students do in terms of, chemical engineering and material science graduate programs?
So they go to a wide range of things. So we are a smaller department, so we do get to know all of our students pretty well, and they are happy to share with us some of the things that they do. So we have from, I will say, about a quarter of the students go to PhD, go and want to do a PhD. That's their degree goal. So I think that's true every year, and this is for both the chemical and material science students. About a quarter of them end up going to graduate school, to PhD school, to further their education in there. And then the industries then vary quite a bit. So we have students going into cosmetic industry for chemical engineering, food industry. So our confectionery manufacturing class is very popular, and they were able to find internships for the students. And I know one of them ended up going to the Mars company to work there in candy production. There's also students that go into personal care products. Again, this is in the chemical engineering realm, in which you do things, from sunscreen to whatever. And then pharmaceutical is also a big part. So I will say another 1/3 or 1/4 of the students going into those areas. And then in materials engineering, material science, we have students going to a lot of aerospace, because there's a lot of aerospace in the area. So maybe like in Aerospace Corporation, Northrop Grumman, so some of those more aerospace industry, and they basically look at SpaceX, designing materials for extreme environments and things like that. So a lot of students go into that as well. And then we have students that go into the refineries, and students already going into the energy field. And so that's from their call, they were asking, can you have more specific training into this energy field that is growing so much and needs such a wide range of knowledge? So the job titles you put here are pretty good idea of what the students go. So, they can do more in the bio side. Again, it depends on what you do. So in the chemical engineer, more in the bio side, metronics, places like that. We have students, we try to encourage the students to try to get internships as the master students go, to really enhance their chances of getting jobs. And our students, because we're small, we usually able to help them out, and also through Viterbi resources. The other thing that we do is we try to build up your resume. So whether you just broke because you're a graduate student, and I remember being a broke graduate student, we have some office jobs available for those who want to do that. Or we also have lab jobs available, so you can work in our teaching labs and things like that, assisting the undergraduate classes as a course producer, to really enhance and broaden that your CV. If you say, no, I can't take an internship, or I can't do a job, we really try to encourage the students to really expand and build up on that CV. And we only hire students from our own department. And so we really, it also let us get to know you a little better, and then enhance whether you want to work in a lab, whether you want extra money, or you just want extra experience, or try to really encourage you to get engaged into that department.
Thank you, Professor, for sharing with us that. So I'll go ahead and take everyone through the different applying, about the application process and the different enrollment options that we do offer, for the chemical engineering material science program. So kind of, as Professor Hodge touched upon, for the chemical engineering material science programs, that you do need to have an engineering, math, or hard science undergraduate degree, such like physics or chemistry. And so for the application process, you do need to submit copy of your transcript. So they do need to be official. To be competitive, although not a requirement, we do recommend having at least a 3.0 GPA on a 4.0 scale. And the GRE is not required for admissions to 2025 Viterbi graduate degree programs. For all of the graduate programs, including the ones offered through the chemical engineering and material science, you do need to submit your resume to highlight your work experience for those of you who are working in the industry, and for those of you who are coming straight out of, let's say, undergrad, to include any internships or any clubs that you're part of that you really want to highlight in terms of accomplishments and achievements. And all of the graduate programs do require a personal statement as well. So your personal statement should really talk about, your interest for pursuing a graduate program at USC Viterbi, and particularly, any of the chemical engineering and material science master's programs. In terms of letter recommendations, we do recommend for you to visit the individual program page because letter recommendations does vary on the program. It could be either optional or required. So we always recommend for you to head over to that link at the bottom of the slide to look at your specific program to see if letter recommendations are required. And for those of you who are international applicants, you do also need to meet the English language proficiency requirements set by USC, and you need to submit your TOEFL or IELTS exam scores. In terms of application deadlines, so for spring 2025, which does begin in January, for those of you who are intending to pursue your degree as an online Dana Viterbi student, we have extended the application deadline to November 15th. But you do need to make sure that you do not require an F1 student visa or an I-20 student visa. But if you're interested in on-campus delivery method, then you would actually need to submit your application for fall 2025. And the deadline date for the fall term is December 15th, 2024. Once again, there is an asterisk. So if any of you are interested in being an online Dana Viterbi student, pursuing, one of those three programs offered online through DEN, you could reach out to me at den@viterbi.usc.edu, and I'll be able to work with you on granting an application extension as it is on a case-by-case basis. In terms of the course delivery methods, so we offer two delivery method on campus, which is at USC's campus. And students who are on-campus students, they tend to be pursuing their degree on a full-time basis. And they tend to take maybe, 4 classes per semester. So ultimately, the average time of completion is between 1.5 to 2 years. And then we have our online delivery method, which is what we call Dana Viterbi. So around 80 to 85% of our online Dana Viterbi students, they are working professionals. So they're already working in the industry and they are pursuing their degree program on a part-time basis. And they usually take maybe 1 to 2 classes per semester. So on average, they usually can complete their degree, let's say within 2.5 to 3 years. A little bit more about how our online delivery method works. So Dana Viterbi is our state-of-the-art proprietary web-based delivery system. So USC Viterbi has been doing distance education learning since 1972. So we started off, doing VHS recording tapes, and through time, now it is our own in-house web-based delivery system that really enables our students from all over the world to access classes and watch lectures in 2 ways. So students could watch lectures live as it's happening. So they could stream in and participate, they could ask questions, or they could watch it on demand afterwards as a recording. Dana Viterbi students will also view the same lectures as on-campus student. The content is fresh every semester. So I know, Professor Hodge touched upon it before that, the professors who teach the classes are the same. And this is the case, whether you're an on-campus student or online student, when you're enrolled in a specific class, the professor will be the same. So it doesn't mean if you're an online student, you get a different professor. They are the same professors that teach our online and on-campus student. As an online student, you will still be able to participate in highly interactive discussions with your professors and also with your peers as well. You will also submit homework electronically, and you will take your exams at a proctored testing center located either near your home or your work. But for those of you who may be living in the LA, Orange, or Ventura counties, then you do actually need to take your exams at USC's campus. A little more information about our online delivery methods. So besides formal admissions, we do have another enrollment option, which is called limited status. So this is an enrollment option that allows strong candidates with a undergraduate degree in engineering, math, or hard science to and also having a 3.0 GPA to take classes before applying for formal admissions. But you can only take a maximum of 12 units as a limited status student. And if you are admitted into the formal degree program, the classes that you took as limited status can be applied towards um, that degree program. But you do need to check with your academic advisor and the department just to make sure those classes can be are transferable. And it's also important to note that being a limited status also does not guarantee you formal admissions. You can get started as early as spring 2025. So if you want to get started as an online student, but you don't have enough time to put together a application, for example, you want to apply to the chemical engineering program, but work is really busy. You don't have enough time to gather all the materials, and you do meet the requirements indicated here as a limited status student. You can actually enroll as in a class that is required for chemical engineering master's program as a limited status student in spring 2025, and work on your application for fall 2025. For more information, you could head over to our limited status enrollment details page. In addition, for those of you who are working for a company and you do receive reimbursement, we do have the employer reimbursement deferment program. So this is for students who are supported by a company. You can defer your payment of up to 90% of tuition until after the semester is over. Program eligibility is that your employer does need to reimburse you for tuition at the end of each term, and your student account has to be current. What is required by you, the student, to handle before the settlement deadline of each term is to complete and submit your deferment application, pay 10% of tuition, 100% of all fees, and a 100 application fee. So this slide here just kind of shows you how much a 3-unit course and a 4-unit course is at the current per unit rate for this academic year. The tuition and fees are subject to change without notice, and it is the same whether you're an online student or a on-campus student. There are some additional smaller mandatory fees as well that do need to be taken into consideration. We always recommend for students to visit our website for the most updated tuition rates. In addition, for those of you who may be, interested in pursuing your degree as an online Dana Viterbi student, we do have a merit-based scholarship called the Dana Viterbi Scholarship available for our online DEN students. So the requirements is that you do need to be pursuing your master's program fully online through Dana Viterbi. It is a partial scholarship ranging from 1 to 4 units of tuition. And also you do need to receive partial or no tuition reimbursement funds from your employer. The funding provided is awarded during the academic year. And as a returning student, you could reapply for a future academic year as well. To be eligible, you do need to be either a newly admitted student for spring 2025 or have an application on file. And you do need to have at least a minimum GPA of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale from your undergraduate institution. The spring 2025 scholarship deadline is on Friday, November 15th. For those of you who are interested, you could head over to our scholarship page at that link indicated below, and you'll be able to find more information on the scholarship eligibility and the application form itself. In addition, if we have anyone who's joining us live or watching this as a recording who are, with the military or a current active duty military member or veteran, we do also have some funding and scholarships available. For those of you who are active duty military, we do have the USC Viterbi Active Duty Military Scholarship. So this is a partial scholarship ranging from 1 to 4 units of tuition for U.S. active duty military of all military branches of students pursuing a Viterbi master's or graduate certificate program either online through Dana Viterbi or on USC's campus, and who receive partial or no tuition reimbursement funds from the military or your employer. The scholarship deadline for spring 2025 is also on Friday, November 15th. USC Viterbi offers as well an unlimited number of Yellow Ribbon Awards to eligible veteran candidates who are entitled to the 100% post 9/11 benefit rate. The VA will also match the amount provided by USC Viterbi. And for those of you who are veterans, we do have the USC Shown Family Scholarship for Veterans. So this is for USC Viterbi incoming and continuing graduate students. You are eligible to apply. You must be admitted and enrolled immediately in courses on a full-time basis and have received an honorable discharge from the U.S. Armed Forces and served a minimum of 3 years continuous full-time active duty since 2003. So what are the next steps? So for those of you who are interested, in either pursuing your degree program as as an on-campus student at USC's campus, you can visit the campus virtually by heading over to that link over there. And then you can also submit your application for fall 2025 formal admissions by navigating to that application portal link indicated on the slide. And for those of you who are interested in applying as an online Dana Viterbi student, the application link is the same. And so you can navigate there. And then you can still submit your application for spring 2025 as I indicated. And if you are interested, please email me. I'll be sharing my email address in a couple of slides, and I'll be able to give you some instructions on how to get that application extension. And then you can also apply, also enroll as a limited status student as well as early as spring 2025. Okay, so I am going to allow some time for individuals to pop in their questions. So if you have any questions for Professor Hodge, please go ahead and pop them into the chat and I'll be able to read them out loud. And if you have questions about the admissions process or application process, I can go ahead and answer those questions as well. So I'll just allow some time for individuals to pop in their questions. Okay, so I did see a question that came through that says, are there any labs for the programs? And if so, how is that done online? If they're an online Dana Viterbi student.
There are some labs, but they're not in required classes. So unfortunately, that's very difficult to do online because it's materials or chemical engineering. So those are in person only, but that's why we have so many other choices in there. But if you are on-campus student, then there's definitely some labs that you could take as part of those electives. Like the confectionery class has a food preparation lab, and that's every Friday. The microscopy class meets also twice a week. So there's a few classes, 3D printing class and things like that meet. But then for that, it has to be on campus.
Thank you, Professor Hodge. And so, hold on, there's a lot coming through. So let me just navigate through that. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to know if there's an application fee waiver. So if you email me at danavitrivia.usc.edu, I will be able to send you a link on our website of the application fee waiver categories. And if you're eligible for the application fee waiver categories, then you'll just follow the steps indicated on that website page to request, to receive your application fee waiver. And also, if you are working for corporate companies as well, we do have on our website, some companies who are part of a education, who are part of a educational assistance program through what we call Bright Horizons. And if your company is also indicated on that website page, then you will be able to follow steps on receiving an application fee waiver. So please email me at danavitrivia.usc.edu and I'll be able to share with you the website links. Okay. So another question that came through is, can I apply for the MS program and work in a lab and get funded?
I don't know exactly all that means. You can work in a lab because you are a master student, you get paid hourly. Usually our master students that work in labs, like in my lab, we have some from time to time. So they're paid whatever the minimum wage in California, which I think is $19 or something like that. They work 5 to 10 hours a week. If you work in our, like, let's say, our desk post jobs that we have, kind of like a little more flexible to help with visitors and things like that, is the same, and it's 5 to 10 hours a week.
Mhm.
And then we have some lab, like teaching lab positions, and that's about the same as well, 5, 10. There's some positions that are even up to 20 hours a week, but the pay is the same because it's an
Mhm.
hourly pay. That does not cover tuition. The
Mhm.
same if you wanted to be a course producer
Mhm.
is the same. It's like $20 or so for
Mhm.
an hour, and it's 5 to 10 hours a week. So
Mhm.
usually the students that work in the labs, they really want to get some hands-on experience and build up the CV. But in general, they do get paid, although some like to be volunteers. But at least in my lab, they always get paid, and then most of the labs they do.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Hodge. Just to add on that as well. So yeah, so tuition is it will not be fully funded in terms of tuition. If you're looking for, tuition assistance, I do recommend for you to visit our website to see, what scholarships are available. And there is also, financial aid through FAFSA that you could reach out to for additional, support in terms of tuition itself. But kind of as what Professor Hodge touched upon, it'll be more of like a on-campus graduate assistant job that you will get paid hourly for working in labs, but it won't be covering your tuition itself. Okay, so are GRE scores considered if they are provided during the application? So the GRE is not required for 2025 terms, and actually, the GRE won't be reviewed. So because the GRE is not part of the process in terms of the materials to be reviewed, the graduate admissions team and the department, they will review your other application materials, such as your academic background from your transcripts, as well as your resume and your personal statement and letter recommendations. So they will review all 4 of those elements holistically. And so the GRE scores will not be considered as part of your application. So all these other elements will be reviewed. Yeah, so in terms of sponsorship for a master's program versus PhD, so kind of the fully funding of programs will be more for PhD programs. So USC Viterbi does try to fully fund their PhD students, but for master's programs, we do have scholarships available, but it's not fully funded in comparison to kind of like a PhD where USC tries to fully fund. So if you're interested, please do just reach out to us. If you're interested in on-campus delivery method, we do have a separate on-campus team who can provide more information on tuition in terms of sponsorship and tuition and funding. But if you're interested in being an online Dana Viterbi student, you can email me at danaviterbi.usc.edu, and I'll be able to provide you more information in terms of the scholarship available. But for our master's programs, it won't be fully funded. It's just for PhD programs is where USC Viterbi tries to fully fund their doctoral students.
Well, I will say if they want more information, you went over it in the slides
Mm-hmm.
23, 24 about some opportunities for veterans and other
Yes.
people. And then we also have a scholarship available for students in the energy engineering program, and we hope to expand that farther. So, where we try to work on is for those of you who are not in industry and things like that, just really try to get you to get those internships and that really expand your CV, your resume, so you're ready for the workforce and are well prepared, whether independent of where you want to go after you finish your master's.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Hodge, for adding to that. Yes, correct. That is very correct. Okay, so are non-hard science undergrad for bachelor's degrees considered if there is a background in STEM courses, such as calculus, physics, chemistry, thermodynamics?
So it depends, because sometimes the engineering part people struggle with because the background is not there. So we do have some recommended classes perhaps that you can consider, and we're not necessarily try to have you take them here, but we can recommend, like, hey, maybe you can take this class at your community college or something like that to get some more background if you don't have an engineering degree or a science degree, because it will be a lot more challenging. So I think it just depends. You really have to highlight that in your application, how you want to overcome the background that you're missing. And I think where it's missing is a lot of the labs, that hands-on kind of knowledge that you get from labs that are in the engineering programs, whether you aerospace, mechanical, chemical, materials, and the same for chemistry and physics. So you can make up for that. But like you need some background. And then we can recommend it, and we can recommend it as cheaply as possible. That the goal is not that. We really just want you to have the best experience, and we can just tell you, like, we want you to be prepared and successful. We know that these are expensive, whether you're paying or your job is paying, but the idea is for you to be successful at the program. So.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Hodge. And just kind of adding to Professor Hodge's response as well as, we want to ensure that our students are prepared, right? And that they're ready to, hit the ground running, which is why having the relevant academic background is important. But if you don't have a engineering background or a STEM background, as Professor Hodge mentioned, there are some classes that you can take at a community college that can help kind of strengthen your application. So, feel free to email us at den@viterbi.usc.edu, and we can give you some, suggestion in terms of courses for you to take at a community college, for example. It does need to appear on a transcript, and it has to be from a regionally accredited university. So when you then submit your application, you will submit everything holistically, and it'll really kind of showcase that you do understand that foundational knowledge of those engineering classes. And so that's kind of, what we would recommend if you don't have a STEM background. And so another question is, can a mechanical engineering undergrad do chemical engineering master's?
So the answer is yes. It just be a little bit more challenging. I was a mechanical engineer and I did material science. So there was a lot of things in there that I never seen before. Thermo is different. So the thermo and mechanical engineering is more Carnot engines and efficiency cycles. In chemical engineering and also in material science, they're more into entropy, enthalpy, thermodynamics, chemical processes, chemical reactions, phase diagrams. And you don't really see those too much in mechanical engineering. Yes, you can. It's just you're gonna have to study a little bit more. But yeah, it just be a little bit more catching up. But mechanical engineering is close enough that you have they have fluids, and we have fluids in mechanical, but the fluids here are a little different because they're looking at chemical reactions rather than like flow mechanics. They have heat transfer. We had heat transfer in mechanical engineering. So yes, you can. Like I said, they look at gases and liquids. And so it's just a little different, but you can definitely do that. We do have some students from mechanical background in the chemical engineering master's and actually PhD programs as well.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that, Professor Hodge. So, okay, I don't see any additional questions come through. And so we are almost close to time. So if you guys have any additional questions, feel free to, reach out. For those of you interested in on-campus delivery method, the contact information is on the slide. And then for those of you interested in the online Den of Viterbi method, you could reach me at den@viterbi.usc.edu. So before we wrap up, Professor Hodge, just wanted to see if there's anything else that you would like to add to everyone who is attending live or watching this as a webinar afterwards.
Well, I think we hope to see you here next fall or spring if you are a local person. I think that the program is very enriching because we are a small department and we really get to know you. We know everybody. All of our students participate in all of our events. So including, our annual research symposium. And so you really get incorporated into the department. And that really helps whether you are going to grad school or looking for a job later. I think connections are very important. And most of all, you have a good set of colleagues and students that they really seem to support each other very well and are a close-knit community. And I think that's important because it's not just about getting in, it's about succeeding and finishing that program well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Professor, again, for your time in taking us through the chemical engineering and material science master programs. For those of you who are attending this live and watching this as a recording, we do hope that you also found the webinar really informative and very insightful as well. And we do hope that you submit an application soon. So stay safe and take care. And as we say at USC, fight on.
Fight on. Thank you.
Thank you.